Now we live in like two universes at once. There's like the digital universe and there's the physical universe. It's no longer like we mostly live in the physical reality and then we brag a little bit online sometimes. It's like, are you going to be in the conversation online? Are you going to help shape culture online? Are you going to help influence and share and add value online?
This social media thing is really, really hard for me. And yet I know it's important to build this brand. I try to post and not look and not care about what the comments are, but I care.
So we've all been behind the scenes building companies, building families, building relationships for so many years. And in the last few years, we've all sort of stepped to the front of the stage and played with creating content, putting ourselves out there, sharing our message, like really taking a stand for our voice in the universe. And so we wanted to have a little conversation about what we've all learned through the content creation process. And so I wanted to ask you guys, like, what does creating content look like for you? What are you putting out there? And like, what are the fears that come with that?
I want Jess to go first.
You know, it's so funny. I've been reflecting on this a lot because so I just launched my YouTube channel, which is the first little project that I've done that I felt like really shows like a lot of sides of me, like more sides that I'm used to sharing, like a little bit of my goofy side, a little more of my humor, like some tips, but yeah, it just feels like a different embodiment of self. And I, even in doing that, I was reflecting back on, like as a kid, my parents gave us cameras. We filmed all of our childhood movie scenes. Like I got to get these VHS tapes converted to something I can use at some point. But like everything was on camera. And then I think of like the Facebook era. I documented, Grace, we were talking about this, every weekend out with friends. I had a new photo album of like, here is the documentation of our weekend partying. Had to remove all of those albums because they're insane. But it feels very familiar to document life and then share it and all of these things. But once I started working with and for different companies where it's like, oh, there's a credibility factor here. Like you have to be mindful of what you say and there has to be strategy behind it. And it's not just a platform of self-expression for self-expression's sake, you know, like be really intentional. I think I sort of hid during that season. I was like, okay, let's just put like our business front forward. That's what it is. And I didn't really feel like I had an outlet for all of those things. And now kind of being in a more public sphere over the last, I don't know, 6-7 years and like hosting a podcast and just being more visible, I feel like I'm finally starting to feel comfortable to show up as my more full self versus just compartmentalizing all these pieces. And in doing so, it feels a lot. I think that's why I like YouTube because it's like, oh, it's fresh. It's new. I can launch it like, you know, whereas my Instagram, I'm like, oh, well, I typically show up this way on here, but I am edging towards more fullness there. Long-winded way of saying it's a journey.
I think it's such a journey.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't grow up documenting and putting things online. You know, and, you know, we have some video from when I was younger, but it's mostly photo albums. And my parents were great at taking pictures when we were on vacation. But my mom was also like horrible in that she used to like, if one of us had a temper tantrum or if I was like crying uncontrollably, she'd be like, if you don't stop, I'm going to take a picture of you. I know, isn't that horrible? And would like get out the camera. So we all have photos of us. Like there's one of me and I think I'm sitting on the floor. I'm going to find it. Gingham check dress, sobbing, red hair everywhere, you know, and that was the moment I didn't stop crying. Or go to your room. And when you're done crying, you can come and join us again. You know, like this sort of, we only want to see certain parts of you. I'm recognizing how much that influences my showing up online. That coupled with this message I got just over and over drilled into me, which was like, don't boast, you know, be humble, don't brag, don't get too big for your britches, don't, you know, like be seen, not heard. You know, like you didn't want to bring attention to yourself. Humility at all costs. I could keep going on and on. Very much rooted in my Catholic upbringing too. Don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. That's like straight out of the Bible, right? So it's hard for me, because those filters play out. Like, is this bragging? Like, what is authentic? I mean, I feel really, really great right now. Like, really good. I mean, I'm like glowing from the inside out. I am so happy. My life is like, there's some really challenging things right now in my life. We're on the brink of trying to cure Will's sickle cell and kidney disease. And, Callie's still battling Lyme, and I have a kid in 3rd grade, like real stuff. Okay. At the same time, I have never been happier. Like, I feel great. I have the world by the tail, and I'm almost afraid to say it and put it out there for fear that it's going to be viewed as like, oh, look at her go again. There's this culture of like the suffering, overwhelmed mother who is just doing so much. She has no time for herself. She can't even shower. I couldn't even put on mascara today. I didn't have time to get dressed. I'm still in my yoga pants, but I never even went to yoga. I only ate a rice cake because I had no time to make a meal for myself. I'm living on coffee. That is not my life. And I feel a certain sense of guilt. And when I put stuff out there, I worry about how it's going to be perceived. And I try to post and not look and not care about what the comments are, but I care. I'm a very deeply caring person. This social media thing is really, really hard for me. And yet I know it's important to build this brand. It's important for a lot of the other things I want to do that I'm working on in the background, behind the scenes here that are not really related to the podcast. And I just gave you like a whole soliloquy of all the things that are running in the back of my head when I pick up my phone and look at it and hit record. I'm like,
It's so relatable.
It's hard.
100%.
One thing that I've been thinking about, and I want to write a Substack about this, is about how now we live in like 2 universes at once. There's like the digital universe and there's the physical universe. And so it's almost like, are you going to opt in or opt out of like showing up in this digital universe? Like, it's no longer like we mostly live in the physical reality and then we brag a little bit online sometimes. It's like, are you going to be in the conversation online? Are you going to help shape culture online? Are you going to help influence and share and add value online? Or are you going to just opt out of that reality entirely? And if you do opt out of sharing, we're still consuming. So then you're just sitting on the sidelines, like absorbing stuff from other people, just being a lurker. And so I think this whole thing about like being yourself online, if we could more mirror how our energy works in real life, like in real life, like we are outgoing, we do share things, we do add value, we do help others. How can we do that online? How can we show up in the way that we show up in real life? So it's less about like content strategy, and it's more about like just participating in this like new version of reality that exists and deciding if you want to be a voice or not there. And when I think about it like that, it sort of unlocks this thing where it's like, oh, it's not actually about bragging or not bragging or sharing an outfit or not sharing an outfit. It's just about existing in this plane of reality that like unfortunately is becoming like such a big part of our universe, and deciding to be a creator instead of a consumer all of the time. And that makes it feel really exciting. You can be like, wow, what reality am I going to create, in this like new dimension that we all unfortunately exist in like half of the day now. So that's how I like to think about it.
I like that.
There is something so meta that happens, like, for lack of a better word, meta, but that happens. And Sarah, you mentioned this the other day. You're like, it's so weird to like take our phones and film ourselves speaking to our phones. Like, it's almost like if you think too hard about it, your brain breaks. You're like, wait, you like remember your lifetimes before where phones didn't exist, and you're like suddenly seeing your future self as like some futuristic robot that's like talking to their phone. Like you have to almost like detach from it and think back to kind of what you were saying, Grace, that purpose, that how do I want to express? Like, how do I feel like I can contribute to the conversation in a positive way, or in a way that feels in alignment, or is like moving the culture in a way? And sometimes that contribution is your energy. You know, like so many people think they have to be the expert or the teacher or the this. Sometimes it's Sarah showing her outfit videos. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
and seeing that, you feel people's energy online, I think, too. And people are sensing that more and more and more. But I feel like the content conversation has swung so much in a everyone's an expert trying to sell you something, and people are getting really fatigued from it. So they're like pulling back, which I'm hoping will create a resurgence of people being like, okay, what do I want to share? Like, what's on my heart? And when people share that versus like, here's my, email funnel or DM me the word X, instead, they're just like, here's this thing. I thought it was interesting. I'm going to leave this here. Do what you will with it. That stuff makes me way more excited about what's to come in content universe of it all.
And I think, like, how can that all exist at once? Like, in real life, we have business conversations and we're pitching each other things, and we're also having deep conversations and we're having drop-ins. Like, it's like, how do you create a more holistic picture of like what a human experience is like? It's not just like all selling and affiliate links, it's like also those real moments dropped in. And I think also accepting that those two things can exist next to each other, right? Like, you can have an inspiring thought and want to show off your handbag, or like you can be having fun with your family and you can be like going out for drinks with the girls on the weekend. And we don't have to live in such polarity of like, I am only a vessel for the light and I do not like material goods. Like, I think we're always asked to wrestle with that.
Yeah. I think that's so powerful. I gotta love it, because, I'm often struck by like, who cares what I think? Right? This gets in my mind. And then I'll run into somebody who like really wants to know what I think. Right? They're like, I heard your episode and I'm wondering what you think about, and I think we sell ourselves short too. There's this like, I'm not enough. My message isn't refined enough. I haven't thought this through enough. I'm not the one that should be saying it. I'm not the expert, right? I didn't read every book on this topic. There's a perfectionism that can overtake you, I think, if you overthink every single post, every statement, And I mean, I know I fall trapped to that too. There must be a better way to say this. Or
Totally.
a more unique way. Yeah, that happens to me too.
And it is kind of the same sense of like, oh, I don't feel like going to the party. I don't have anything to give. What could I possibly have to share? And then we have so much, and people are so blessed.
And the ability to have that balance, right? To know, like, that's why it's so much of an energetics game. It's to know like, oh, today my energy is not to give out more things. Today my energy is like, I need to fill my own cup. I need to like get myself in the right mindset. And maybe in getting myself in the right mindset, tomorrow I will have an idea that might inspire or help someone in some way, shape, or form. So it's also really knowing, it's kind of like a master class of self. And masterclass of understanding our energy, purpose, gifts in that expression of sharing online too, in a way that feels so accountable. Like, I have friends who they literally download Instagram once a week. They come on, they share one thing, and then they are off the app for the rest of the time. And like, that's their scheduled posting, check up on everything. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, I didn't know you could do that, I have too many ideas too often to share that little, but like, I'm like, I gotta go on and share this. but that's maybe the generator in me. But I think it's acknowledging everyone has a really authentic, nuanced path in how they're going to share what they're going to share. Because there's also, do you guys get a lot of this is how you can show up online and this is how you're going to go viral content?
A lot of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I try not to look at those. I also think I'm trying to give myself more grace in, not just more Grace Abbott, but more grace in terms of acknowledging that this takes, I mean, when we first started my Instagram, I had 140 followers that were all
crazy
friends and relatives. You like to see pictures of my kids and dogs, if at all, and occasional. I mean, really, very.
Your username was like Lake something. It wasn't even your name. It was like
wasn't my name
that you liked.
Well, I think it was like I changed it from my initials to like the lake my house is on, and then we changed it to Wholey Schmidt. So it had nothing. Yeah. And I'm also realizing that doing this takes time, like finding your voice. I mean, imagine trying to write your first novel. It's not going to happen. For most people, it doesn't happen in 6 months. It's sort of akin to that, like this takes time. And if you didn't grow up with it, it might take longer. And there's a lot of noise and chatter and clutter, and it might take even longer for that reason. So being a little kinder to myself and just being like, this will happen on the timeline it's supposed to happen on has been helpful. Yeah. Whatever this is, right? What? Exactly. I go viral and we have 1 million followers. I don't know. Do I really want that? That sounds overwhelming.
This is sort of tangential, but I think will be inspiring. But I went to my friend Kate's conference the other week, and there were all these talks on AI and about how AI actually is not as far along as we think it is. Like, it's basically an algorithm that like combs Google and gives you information from Google really fast, right? So like AI is still just learning from Google. So like we have the opportunity to create content that goes on Google, right? So like the AI could be learning from us, and like instead of like learning from the top line ad buyers, they could be learning from our voice, our wisdom, our goodness. Like we actually have the opportunity right now to populate the internet with better, more high vibe content that's more uplifting. And by opting in, like we're training this AI, right? Because it's only learning from Google and from everything that's there. And so I think sometimes we're like, oh, AI is taking over, but like, where is it getting its info from? It's getting it from us, And when you think about it like that, you're like, okay, if we're afraid that the future is going in a certain direction, like we can actually opt into the changing of the tides by deciding to step up and put stuff out there.
That's a cool mentality.
I like that a lot.
I love that. Yeah, that we have in us stepping through our fears and posting the things that feel resonant to us, that allows the entire culture to shift, because it's getting trained on our stuff. That's really empowering.
Totally.
There's all these fears about AI taking over everything, like including relationships. We won't even need each other anymore, right? We'll just have bots that we talk to. I don't see it. I don't see it. Because, I don't know. There's not a hand to hold there. Like there isn't a spirit essence there. And that is what moves me, is that spirit energy essence of humanity, and I've refused to believe that AI is going to be able to transmute that. I don't believe it's possible.
The way I kind of see it too, it's like, sure, you can have a fake plant in your house, looks the same. It's actually easier to take care of because you don't have to water it and it's not going to die and you don't have to prune it.
You just have to dust it.
Yeah, you just got to dust it off and you can have that fake tree in there. But even if it looks aesthetically the same, there is there's nothing that replaces actually being in the presence of a tree. And I don't think we actually can
photosynthesis is real.
Yeah, like we really can't even put our finger on all of the scientific and biological things that are happening when we're in the presence of a tree, but even breathing it in or being like in the presence of what it's taking in from the air and the oxygen. And there's like a biological resonance between the two living species when you're really with a tree that you cannot replicate with the plastic tree. So it's kind of similar where it's like the human to human connection, physical touch. I mean, there's a reason why it is so healing, even with pets. Like they say, you know, the cat's purr or the dog lay on your chest, how it can totally reshape your nervous system. That's stuff that I don't think, even if we get AI to like vibrate at the same frequency or something, I just don't see it taking that. It's just something we can't even put into words.
I think we were talking about this, Jess, but I was having a conversation with this guy who is like really fluent in AI and robots and things. And he was saying like AI is actually a good thing because it's going to be taking like the mundane things off of our plate so that our supernatural powers can develop. It's almost like when a species develops and like gets a new, you know, arm or whatever, like it's because something's been taking off its plate. So like we don't have enough energy to like be nocturnal and telepathic and fly because we're doing our dishes, right? Like if it could do our dishes and do our mundane tasks or take things out of our brain, then we could develop in a new direction. And I think actually like we cling so much onto like our comforts and the human experience that we know and the chores that we do and the things that we're used to doing. Like I love writing and I don't think writing should be taken away from us, but like what if instead of having to write with our hands, like somebody could tune into the radio frequency of your brain and just like get the thought that you're trying to communicate, you know? And maybe that's the next iteration of writing. Like it's interesting to think from that perspective, like how limited our sense of what to do with our lives are, that like it's writing and dishes and this and it's that. And would like something taking over like the mundane stuff make all this room for like us to develop in a crazier way?
I think the telepathy's coming. I've had a feeling. It sounds nuts, but I don't know. We'll see. Who knows how long it'll take, but I feel like it's coming.
What would you guys say? I mean, you've given me some good advice, but to other people who are listening in and they tuned in for an episode on how to, show up authentically.
Now we're talking about this.
Now we're talking about telepathy, but that's okay because it's all relative. It's all related. But I mean, I think it'd be good to distill some of your own thoughts on it. They're different than mine because you've been at it a little longer and I think have a different perspective, and it's been really helpful to me. I'd like people who are listening to hear a little bit about your advice, guidance, counsel on if you want to build a brand or have a presence in this social media world, how do you do it authentically?
I guess I got into social in like 2015 and I was like really early to the influencer marketing and the marketing through social and community party. And I had a client who had a fruit and nut company and I was tasked with sending the product out to people so that they would post about it. So this was like the early seeds of influencer marketing. And while I was doing that, I realized I could probably be more successful if we had like a friendly admin that like they knew. So I was DMing like all of these foodie Instagrammers and sending them product and also growing my Instagram at the same time. So in the course of literally 3 months in 2015, I got that account to 10,000 and my account to 10,000 followers from like posting pictures of smoothie bowls and DMing people and participating in trends. And there was no algorithm and there wasn't anything like shooting you to the top of the pile. It's like a long scrolling feed. And if you were showing up a lot, then you were getting followers and things like that. So it was a whole different thing. And then I sort of made my career off that time period of like, I know how to do marketing, I know how to do influencer social, all of that kind of stuff because I did it back then. And then at some point when I was done running that account, I was like, what do I have to share? Like I kind of did it all as a bit, like I'm doing this as a marketing experiment. Like I'm trying to be the admin of Body Ohm, the nut company, but what does Grace have to share? I don't know. And so I took like 10 years off. And I was really like, I don't know what to post. I'm having an identity crisis. I'm a marketer. I'm good at this, but I don't want to put myself out there. While I was advising other people on how to do it, I was sort of like neglecting my own, putting myself out there. And then in the past, like last year, I decided to launch an account teaching people how to freelance because that was something I knew very deeply and could give a million tips about. And it was a whole different landscape of like, it's not posting pictures of curated smoothie bowls anymore. It's talking to the camera. It's giving advice. It's providing value. It's showing up consistently for visibility. Like now there's an algorithm and there's trends and there's a million people that have a million followers. They're not just a few people that are new to the party. So what I would recommend now is really like making it an experiment and committing to the journey. Like if there's something that you want to share online, start with like a core piece of value that you think you can bring to the table and spin in a million different directions. Because that's at least going to give you like a metronome to come back to when you're like, what the heck do I post? Like share something related to your expertise, right? And then from there, layer on lifestyle, whatever else you want. But that's what's going to keep you consistent, is knowing you have like a consistent, omnipotent like sense of value around something. And then experiment with formats, with different ways of saying things, with editing styles, and be committed to the journey. It's not about going viral or getting a million followers. Like that actually doesn't mean anything at all if you don't have something to sell or have a goal or have a community in mind. But just see what committing to the process of experimenting and showing up brings to you in lieu of like development and growth and stuff like that.
One other thing I would add, just thinking on, what is that goal that you're showing up for? So is it a brand account, that is a public brand that you're selling a product? Is it a CPG product? What is the message that you're trying to ultimately get to? And then if it's a brand, it's almost easier because you can build out the world of the brand. If you're an individual, I think it's understanding, really positioning. It's hard. I'm almost hesitant to say positioning because I think the people who are really perfectionistic and are not showing up actually don't need to think about positioning yet. They need to just start creating, and they need to just rip the Band-Aid off and get out there and start doing it. And then they'll eventually find, like, it's not even a niche, but it's how do you want to be seen within the world, right? Like, do you want to be a trusted voice in X? Do you want people to come to you for XYZ things? Like what is the bucket of things that people can go to you for? But I think when you're really, really, really procrastinating, you're not putting anything out. You're not in the arena as Brene Brown would say, get in the arena first. And then at a certain point, if you're really like taking it seriously and looking at it from a professional angle, then you want to figure out your positioning. And it doesn't mean that it has to be so hyper specific, like same style, same video, same topic, whatever it is. Keep it broad, but know that it all lives under that world. I feel like at least now that's where I've seen brands really excel, is when they're owning their pocket of the universe. Even if their pocket of the universe is 5 different topics, you go to that person because you like her home decor, because you like the bikinis she sells, and because you like her cooking videos with her family. But that's her position. It's like all under this umbrella. You get immersed in the world of that person. So I would just think about, like, what are those things that you feel so passionate about, that feel like an extension of you, that you want to talk to, that you want to speak to, that you have expertise to, that you could answer questions in. And then even more high level, and this is more internal, but getting really clear on your why and what you want your experience with social to feel like. So, I've consulted and helped people and helped develop content on multiple different brand accounts. But when it came to my personal, I was like, the only thing I really want to get out of this is like building a community. Like, I don't necessarily care about having 1 million followers or it being the biggest account. Like, that's not really my thing. I want it to feel like when I can post on here, I'm talking to my people who know me, who know my stories, like they're in for the ride with me. So even if that's like a small but like mighty account, that's what my goal was. And that had a through line in everything I posted. It didn't mean I had a strict content release schedule. It was more intuitive. I was like, oh, I really like this. I'm going to make this in the middle of the night and post it at 9 p.m. And is that the best ideal time to post? Probably not. But like, it was that experiment of doing it in a way that felt more authentic to me. And thus the community I've built even on my Instagram feels like I can go in my DMs and there's questions any day. I can go in there and there are supportive messages. People are in the comments having conversation, but that took me showing up in the ways I wanted to show up and felt aligned to show up and providing value to those people and answering them, having those conversations. I feel like so many people are afraid to engage in meaningful conversations online. I think it's the best way. Like, I have friends out of doing that now, like I think don't overlook if you have 5 followers and they're messaging you, connect with those 5 followers, like don't overlook that piece. It is still a connection platform at the end of the day. And I think if that's your goal, like that is one major way to do it.
I've heard you both say these things in different ways, but before, and it's really, really helpful to hear you say it again. I'm also sitting back thinking that we really have come a ways. I have.
Oh my God, yeah.
In terms of like how we started and where we are, and my own, even my own comfort level, which I would like to increase. And working on that. We only started posting on TikTok a couple months ago, and it's been so fun. It's a platform I was terrified to engage with. And honestly, it's probably my favorite place now. And there is a lot of conversation happening. There are a lot of questions. There are inquiries, and there's some controversy too, which I think is really fun to see. And I don't mind at all. I feel a certain ease with it. It's, I don't feel like it has to be so perfect. And I kind of love that. The perfectionist in me loves an opportunity to not have to be perfect. There's a relief there. I think, and just even tuning into that has been really, really helpful and interesting to me.
You make a good point about be in conversation with the platform, have a relationship with it.
Yeah. You've also taught me to just post and not watch.
Yeah, don't
my own content or pay attention to it,
The numbers.
It was fun to watch the reactions to the Lollapalooza content because that was really fun.
So
It
fun.
was like blowing up, and I got so many fun comments, and I wanted to kind of stay on top of it. And it was really fun to be there and have that engagement and then get recognized while I was there. That was super fun. I was like, oh my God, But I think in general, I've learned to not take myself quite so seriously, right? Not think so hard about it. Be consistent, right? And try to keep the message focused. That's probably the hardest thing for me because I am truly somebody who's so faceted. I could speak authentically and authoritatively on so many topics. That's probably been the hardest thing is to dial in on that. What's the message? But I think we're getting there too.
Yeah. So many good takeaways.
And you know what? Get some friends who do it better than you do.
Get some friends who can do it with you.
Yeah. Do it with you, do it better than you, are younger than you, are less intimidated by it, who you can ask the silly questions. The times that we've been we've Zoomed together, Grace, and I've recorded, well, you're like there, there in the room and walking me through it. And no, let's do that again. Let's try a different hook. That was so good.
I know. We got to do that again soon.
We do actually.
That's fun.
Really good stuff came out of that. But, if you really want to do this, I think get some people to do it with you. Yeah. Grace, you do this with your freelance content. You do like virtual meetups and where you all work together. You're all doing your own work, but you're together.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's my Substack benefit is co-working. And basically we just get on and say, all right, what's your goal? And then we all say our goals and then we work silently on Zoom. And there's amazing accountability that happens. And you could record content or do computer work or whatever it is. But sometimes the things you're procrastinating on the most, which oftentimes is your own content, it's really helpful to get somebody to body double with you on a Zoom and do it together.
I think the biggest thing, even I'm hearing from all of you guys too, is just start and see it as that experiment. There is no right way to show up. Everything's always changing. you just kind of have to start and have that feedback loop with yourself of like, okay, yeah, that felt really good. I'm going to do more of that. Or that didn't feel good. I want to stop talking about that. You know, you just, you'll know. It deepens your connection to yourself and your intuition too.
I find it probably is the most helpful thing when it comes to holding me accountable to the things that are important to me. I've said this before on the podcast too. Just hearing my own voice say the things that are most important to me or speak about my goals or what I want is so powerful in holding me accountable. Like, am I really walking the talk? When I hear myself speaking, I'm able to check in on that very question. You know, I put it out there. Now am I doing it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if for no other benefit, I feel like it's held me to a tougher standard, which I don't know that I really needed a tougher standard, but I like being held to a standard. You know, I like holding myself to a standard. I said I was going to do this. I said this was important. I stated clearly that this is important to living a full, rich life. Okay, am I doing it? I want to be known as somebody who walks the talk. For no other reason, putting some shit online is a good way to hold yourself accountable.
So true.
Yeah. And I guess like from a career standpoint, growing an audience gives you leverage, right? Like at any point you could decide to start a business and you have people that are interested in buying something from you, or you could survey the group and ask them questions to get info about something you want to pursue, or you know, it's something you can take with you from job to job. You know, it doesn't belong to the company that you work for. It's something that like always comes with you and people can watch you through different chapters, and it gives you more credibility and trust because people can come to your account and say, who's behind this company? Who's behind this brand? You know, what are their intentions? Like, what are their values? Do I resonate with what's going on behind the scene of building? So I think that's the benefit of like, it's something you can own that creates visibility for you and that you can take with you, as opposed to being something the company that you work for owns.
Well, this has been fun, you guys. Good learnings for me to take into the week. So it's a great conversation for a Monday.
It's perfect. And we'll have a think about telepathy after this.
Totally.
Next episode will just be silent. We'll just be sending you guys messages.
Yeah, our next episode, we're just going to sit in silence together and
see if you can tap into our frequency.
It probably, it honestly would be creepy how probably much we are in each other's heads.
I know. It's already happening probably. We just don't notice.
It's a good thing.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.